She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Thanks so much for joining us today. Today is Money Monday. We are going to be talking about your cash not going in the trash and not causing fights between you and your spouse. Come on, think about it. You is married, friend. You committed your life to a person, friend. You should not be fighting with the person. I know, easier said than done. No question. Hans and I have been together for 27 years. We certainly have had our share of fights. But not in the last 1,000 days, which has really been amazing. Different story, different topic, different time. But today we are talking about money because it is Monday, and that's the day that we have set aside to talk about money. We want to see you succeed financially. I grew up on welfare, obviously trained to fail financially. Pregnant at 17, homeless at 21, but millionaire by 23. Here on the Dani Johnson Show, we bring you topics to help you to succeed in every area of your life. Today, money, people seem to make plenty of it, but they don't know what to do with it, and it sometimes is used as a tool to manipulate your spouse with it. Don't you think that's ridiculous? Have you ever had a fight with your spouse about money? Has it been a rip-roaring, knocked down, dragged out, whoa, right? In fact, it's really interesting. 31% of adults with partners report that money is the major source of conflict in their relationship. Should it be that way? Have you found yourself in that place? Have you learned to not fight about money? If so, what did you change? What did you learn to not fight about money? We're talking about that today. We want to see your marriages and your money grow to a positive place, not to be something that is used to tear people apart, which sadly it is. Which to me, I mean, gosh, if you really think about it, if we're fighting about money, whether it's not enough of it or there's too much of it, or fighting about where to put it or what to do with it, or that one partner spends more than the other, how do we solve this real issue? I mean, because the real issue, is it money? Or is it that we allow something that is like, this little piece of paper to come in and invade intimacy? Come on, with Valentine's Day coming up here in just a few days, what do we got? Listen, if you want it to be a good Valentine's Day, I highly recommend you don't start a fight with your spouse about money, okay? Come on, man, you got to pick your battles. You really do. And there must be a different approach. Because if you really think about it, isn't the marriage much more important than money? If we put money ahead of the marriage, then it is something that we will use as a tool to fight, to argue. And by the way, divorce is really expensive. It's really expensive. It's expensive financially. It's expensive emotionally. It is expensive mentally. It is expensive physically. It is expensive spiritually. It is also very expensive relationally. It is also very expensive socially. So you really have to make a decision. Is fighting with my spouse about money worth it? I thought the marriage should be the most important thing, and what's healthy for the marriage is what you do, versus bringing in an inanimate object to tear the two of you apart. So we're going over to the phones. We've asked this question of our viewers and listeners of the Dani Johnson Show. And by the way, do this really, really quick. You might want to share today's program with somebody because it could save somebody from going to divorce court. It could save a family from being a divided family or a broken home simply by sharing today's video. Okay, so grab the link. If you go over to the website, DaniJohnson.com, again, that's DANI Johnson.com, go there and you'll see today's program right on our homepage. Just click on that, copy that link, text it out to some friends, email it to some friends, jump on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and share it with some people because literally, do you want to save somebody from heading to divorce court just because of money? I'm sure you do. We've had plenty of divorces in our families. We've all seen it with our friends. We don't want to see those kind of repercussions, especially that what happens with the kids. So please share today's program. It's a really important one. So we have Roluvka. What a beautiful name. She's from the Netherlands, and she's going to tell me exactly how to say her name because I'm pretty sure I messed that up. How do I say that name?
is with a Dutch R, roelovke.
So,
try that.
Roelovka.
Yeah, wow, very well for
Thank you.
Speaking person. Yeah,
That's really gorgeous. Okay, so what about you? Have you ever had fights with your spouse about money?
yes, we have, unfortunately.
Tell me about it.
For example, last year we had a deadline. We had to pay off 3,500 euros.
Mm-hmm.
35,000. Yeah. So, well, that's a lot for Dutch. So there was a lot of how's it that? Spanning, anxiety around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we both felt that. So we were trying to do our very best to save up as much as possible. And but because of this anxiety, we were a little bit not trusting each other sometimes when one of the two spent money. So then some fights came up.
Okay, so what do you mean you weren't trusting each other? Tell me, I don't want you to tell me whether or not he didn't trust you, but I want to hear how you didn't trust him and what that sounded like, what that looked like.
How I didn't trust him. Well, I was fearful when he spent money for books. Then I felt like and clothes for our children, aren't that a better investment if we already do spend money? Then better spend it for that reason. And so then we were arguing about that.
Right. So you basically had a different priority for the money than he did, and you thought that your priority was better than his.
Yes.
Yes. How did that work out?
I see that where he's investing in will bring us money later on. So he's investing in himself, and I really see him growing very fast. So and it worked out. The deadline on his birthday, he was able to pay off the last bit. So we really celebrated it.
Wow. So I guess you were nagging him for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to it, right? When it comes down to it, you picked a fight that didn't need to happen.
Yes, true.
Yeah. We have a tendency of doing that. And so would you recommend to anyone that's listening right now, especially the wives, that nagging your husband and watching over him like you were his mother is not going to help pay off the debt faster?
No. Yes, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. All it does is that when we choose to try to prove our point, and then, look, you both were trying to spend money, by the way. You're like, no, I want to buy clothes for the kids. That's better. Isn't it so interesting how us wives and mothers can like come up with a very righteous reason to spend money?
True.
But do the kids really need clothes? And do we really need to spend money on clothes for that matter? No, we really don't. But how interesting that your husband was making investments into learning. He was making investments into himself and advancing his skill so that he could pay off that debt and not repeat the same cycle. So was it 3,500 or was it 35,000 euros?
3,500 or 35,000? Yeah, 35,000.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that debt being paid off. And I just want to pull out from what you said because it's so true. We can tend to be that person who ends up clearly picking fights that does not help anybody. The marriage is more important than where we each think the money should be spent. And if we allow our pride and our arrogance and our self-righteousness to get in the way of our relationship flourishing, well, then bad on us. Now, I can just hear the woman in my ears right now just saying, yeah, but what if he? Yeah, so what if he? Yeah, so what? He is going to learn to manage his finances eventually. You being his mother does not help him to succeed. The other thing is that if you're going to fight about it, he can't hear you. If you're going to nag him about it, he can't hear you. He can't hear you at all. And so if you actually want to hear him, then you want to sow, you want to plant into him what you want to reap. The bottom line is that he's not listening because of the approach in which that we are doing, right? So here's the facts. The facts is if we actually encourage and support him, and if you were, in this case, with this precious woman with this beautiful, amazing name, Rulavka, I think I said it right for the second time in a row. If we now take the stance of, okay, hey honey, tell me about that book. What are you learning? What are your plans with this? Now she's actually showing that she's trustworthy and supportive to her husband, first of all, and second of all, now she's actually getting to see from his perspective what his plan is versus her thinking he's just wasting money on another book. But when she gets to hear, tell me about the book that you're reading. I want to hear what you're learning. I want to hear kind of what your plan is. That just, when he answers those questions and says, well, I don't ever want to end up in debt again. I don't ever want to be in this place financially again. So I'm going to make sure I learn new skills so that I can change our financial future. I want to make sure that I learn how to become an investor instead of a spender. When he answers her, she falls in love with him again, because why? She's now not assuming he's just spending money, but he's looking to better himself so that he can better his family and better their future. That makes a woman fall in love with her man even more. That builds trust. So how do you build trust instead of distrust? Distrust comes from assuming that somebody is doing what they shouldn't be doing. Instead of building distrust, make it simple. Just, I want to learn. I want to hear. I want to understand. Tell me what that plan is if you've got one. If you don't, it's okay. I believe in you, and I believe you want best for our family, and I believe that you're a good man, which is why I married you, and I believe you have a lot of talent, and I'm impressed by that talent, and we have found ourselves in this situation, but I know we're learning from it, and we're going to continue to succeed moving forward. So, you ain't got nothing to lose, Mrs., by supporting and encouraging. Nagging him about money is never going to help him make more. Fighting about dollars, a few dollars on a book, a few dollars on clothes, whatever the few dollars are, being his mother is never going to result in a man who is successful financially. It just will not happen. This is Dani Johnson. It's Money Monday. We're talking about your cash and growing it and, improving that relationship at the same time. We'll continue with more after this.
Stay right here for more of the Dani Johnson Show.
Hey everybody, my name is Digby and I'm from New South Wales, Australia, and I'm here live at First Steps to Success. I've been to 6 events now, and my journey started with an encore in Brisbane, and after doing 2 encores in Australia, I just really had to come to a live event, so here I am today. And since attending an encore and getting involved, my income has doubled and my family life is just blossoming. So you have to get there. You just have to experience it.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what poverty-stricken families are dealing with in Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic needs of food, clean water, and safe housing. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming Nicaragua. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Nicaragua. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Did you know you can take the Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. The most common question I get usually are from people who are trying to juggle their life. They've got kids who are involved in all kinds of activities. They've got business or their job, finances, trying to get out of debt, plus all their church activities and all the volunteer activities. And they're pulling their hair out going, how do I juggle this all? Man, I once lived just like that until I learned Time Secrets. Time Secrets showed me how to be able to cut my hours from 100 hours a week that I was working down to 20 hours a week and tripled my income as a direct result with what I learned. Time Secrets also showed me how to get my priorities in order, which healed up my marriage. And I became a mother that I was proud of versus becoming the mother I didn't want to be. And so if you feel like your world is running around in all kinds of different circles, you can fix that. Call 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880 for Time Secrets.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Fighting and money, unfortunately, seem to be friends. I know, how could fighting and money be friends? But it seems to be. It seems to be that, man, if you're anything like what we were, yeah, we allowed all kinds of things to enter into our marriage that caused us to fight. And that meant that we weren't keeping the marriage as a higher priority over things. Things seem to have raised themselves, or honestly, we raised other things to be higher priorities than each other. And that's when the fighting begins. Got to have our priorities straight. If the marriage is the most important thing, then the conversations about money will be healthy versus using money to nag, to negotiate, to manipulate, to pressure, to beat up. Money is not supposed to be used for that. Money is a tool, and it could be used to build houses for the extreme poor. Money could be used to help free little boys and little girls from the sex trade. Money can be used to sell a child into the sex trade for a television. Yes, that is actually a real story. That literally happens. Yes, that happens actually all over the world. Parents who find themselves, who want something that's more important than the relationship, willing to sell their own little kid, their own 4-year-old, their 5-year-old, straight into the sex trade for a television. Or in some cases, they don't know how to feed their own child. So because they don't know how to feed their own child, they sell their kid into a brothel. The kid now is owned by a slave owner, and that child is forced, that little girl is forced to have sex with grown men. Yes, with grown men, 10, 15, 20 times a day. And then when she reaches that time in her life when she is menstruating and is able to get pregnant, and does get pregnant after, of course, having sex as a 11-year-old with grown men from the United States of America and Canada, mostly from these two countries, flying over to foreign land, whether it's down in the Caribbean or it's off in Asia or if it is right in our own city, to have sex with a child. Money can be used to free that slave. It's Money Monday, and we're talking about your Monday. And right now, on this Monday, you got money. And are you going to use that money to fight and manipulate with your spouse? Are you going to use it to lord over your spouse? Are you going to use it as a magnifying glass to decide whether or not they're spending it wisely? Are you going to keep the marriage a higher priority? It's Money Monday. You have an opportunity with cash in your pocket right now to help free a 5-year-old little girl who's being forced to perform sexual acts on a grown man, a man maybe in his 50s, 60s, or 70s. It's disgusting, and it is real. And if you have a heart and you want to now, instead of using money as a tool against your spouse, instead of using money as a tool against other people, why don't you put purpose to money? You see, I used to have money as my highest priority many, many years ago. And when my marriage became the highest priority, and then my children, of course, only after my God, then money fell way down on the ladder. And when it found its place of purpose, that's when the money grew to heights that I did not even know were possible. Join me now in our efforts of rescuing 1,000 slaves from the sex trade, 1,000 children, 1,000 little kids, little girls, little boys, just like your son, just like your daughter, because some sick man just finished taking pictures of a little boy that's the same age as your little boy or your grandson, just taking little pictures, and now he is forcing himself upon that little boy. Why? Because the sex trade is real. 4.5 million children worldwide are slaves in the sex trade. And you and I are going to make a difference in at least 1,000 of those kids. Go over to kingsransom.org right now. Go to kingsransom.org. You'll see right on the homepage, right in the header, it will say, not for sale. Rescue 1,000. Rescue 1,000. Click on that and give what you can. Put purpose to this money. Put priority to this money. And now use money as a tool to free that 3-year-old little boy who is being forced to do things no little boy should ever be forced to do. We can bring shelter and healing and training. We can bring closure to a part of their life that should not be a part of their life. We can bring them into safety. Food, clothing. We can help them. You and I both can do this. Rescue 1,000. Go to the website right now, kingsransom.org. One kid at a time. It only costs $5,000 to free a child out of the sex trade, to have them in a safe house, to provide food and clothing, education, healing, counseling, all of it. And depending on their age, if they're in a teenage place, we can even give them training development so they can not ever return back to that field, and they can actually build a career for themselves in something that is lucrative and has dignity. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need. Stay right here for more of the Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was working 60 to 75 hours a week. I was completely stressed out. I was incredibly angry with my husband. We were in over $350,000 worth of debt. By applying the strategies that Dani teaches, in the last 3.5 years, we have paid off $170,000 in debt. We are no longer roommates, and we no longer spend every single cent that we make. We now have made tens of thousands of dollars in passive income in investments. We are on the right track. We're traveling around the world together, and we are building homes for those who really need it. So I don't know about you, but if you want to cut back from 60 to 20 and 30 hours a week, if you want to mend some relationships, if you want to make your life more efficient and a lot more fun, and you want to be the best version of you, I highly recommend that you get registered because your life is about to change.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, first steps to success in creating dynasty, my wife and I were really lost. We were struggling in a relationship. We were struggling financially, drowning in debt. Our relationship was really broken. We were in a bad place. We were living in two completely different states and not really honoring each other. Once we got plugged into the community, we noticed a shift in our lives. Most importantly, we came together as a husband and wife. That was the first thing we did. And when we finally came together under the same roof, things started to change. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to pay off over $495,000 in debt. I know in my business, I've had a job created for me that increased my income by 50%. That has actually opened up the door to allow my wife and I to spend more time with each other. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if your relationship is super awesome. I don't know if your job is immaculate. I don't know if you're debt-free. But what I do know is if you're not any one of those things, your next step is to get plugged into DaniJohnson.com, go on the website, get plugged into the community. I promise you, your life will never be the same.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a broke college student, drowning in debt, and I felt like the world was crashing all around me, and I had bad relationships. Since plugging into DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, I was able to pay off $6,600 in 4 months. Now I'm able to give 10% of my income to wherever my heart desires. I actually, using the skills that I learned from Dani, I actually landed a job before I graduated college, and I'm able to travel the world. All I know is if you're serious about annihilating your debt, traveling the world, helping people, and having fun doing so, I highly recommend you get registered for the next First Steps to Success. Do it now, don't wait, don't even thinking about it. If you're ready to change your life, just do it.
We went to our first ever First Steps to Success just 10 weeks ago, and it has definitely been life-changing ever since.
We felt like we got hit by a 2x4, but it was the best 2x4 because what we realized is that our priorities were clearly out of line. I had been building a home-based business and had been working 80 to 100 hours, and I realized that that is not my role and that I had actually taken my husband's, and it was that realization that something had to change, and we immediately went home and changed everything. There was no hesitation. We said, you know what, we need to be obedient to God.
And we've implemented the tools day one. We started implementing what Dani taught us, invested in ourselves, invested in our kids, got our priorities in line. We've now actually paid off just not quite $60,000 in debt and looking at a couple more investments here as head of the household.
It's been absolutely incredible. So I just encourage you, if any of this speaks to you, if you're wanting to get out of debt, if you're wanting better communication, if you're wanting to elevate to the higher level of life, get to First Steps to Success and plug into DaniJohnson.com.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Are you a liar? Like, what, Dani? Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Did you know that 31% of all couples combined with combined finances admit to lying to their spouse about money? Are you one of those? Do you lie when you go and buy a pair of shoes? Are you sneaking money from under the table to do something behind your spouse's back with it? What's the priority? Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. This is Money Monday on the Dani Johnson Show, where we talk about your money, adding purpose to it, not using it as a tool to beat somebody up, but let's get out of debt with it. Let's learn how to create wealth with it. Let's help to free kids out of the sex trade with it. Let's do good with it instead of using it as a tool that is just bringing destruction. Check this out. Business Insider reports that only 51% of couples talk about money before actually getting married. And then, of course, there's that 31% who actually lie about it. That can't be you. Have you ever been in a fight with your spouse about money? That's what we're talking about today. How do we not do that? How do we put money in its proper place so that it can grow versus it growing fights between you and your spouse? We have Tracy Anderson from Oregon. Tracy, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Thank you.
Hi. So have you ever been in that fight with your spouse about money?
Unfortunately, a lot. His refusal to participate in joint decisions and being aware of expenses is forcing me alone to make decisions. And then, of course, the weight of that and life decisions are, clouded in my mind at times, and I feel guilty that there's not enough to go around. Even if I create cash here and there, the pressure for me is divided because I either do a quick action to create the money real fast, and then, or I'll just be resentful or angry, and then I do a complete shutdown and do nothing.
Okay.
And part of this, the majority of this is probably me and my denying the reality of this.
Right.
My fault.
Okay, so hold on. So you and your husband decided that you were the best one to manage the finances.
Correct.
Okay. And it sounds like you have a lot of resentment about that fact.
Correct.
Why? Would you rather him manage the finances?
Well, and that's my Achilles heel.
No. Just answer the question. Would you rather him to manage the finances?
Yes.
What was that?
Yes.
You rather him manage
I
it?
would.
Okay.
Yes. But
So
he
then,
doesn't have the skills either.
Whoa. So you're saying you much rather him manage the finances than you. Then the question is, why are you managing the finances?
He refuses to.
He refuses to. Why do you think? I want you to try to come from his perspective. From his, not yours, Tracy. His. Why do you think he refuses to manage the finances? What are the possibilities of what brought him to that conclusion?
I think where he is now, where he's out of the work field and he's dependent on Social Security, that may make him feel he's unable to have control, to be able to perform in making decisions.
Why would he feel, what in the world would Social Security have anything to do with making a man feel like he can't make financial decisions?
He used to make a lot of money before he was disabled, so he was not in total control from what I understand in this conversation with me. He still shared it with his previous life, with his wife, but he felt more control when he was working and he had a paycheck, where now he doesn't have a paycheck and he doesn't feel so good about himself.
Right. So he doesn't feel like he's a good provider. He doesn't feel like he can manage the money well. So would you say that you've had any part in helping him feel like he's not a good provider and he doesn't manage the money well?
Unfortunately, yes.
Right. So is it possible that from time to time, little remarks that you've made about not having enough money and I wish we had more money and, gosh, we shouldn't be spending on this and that. Was there any nagging going on that has caused your husband to shut down completely from the financial conversation?
Being a bitch and nagging, yes. Unfortunately. I hate it.
Yes. Okay, so this is so awesome. So basically you nagged your husband into a corner. I love how honest you are right now, by the way. That's amazing. That actually is a sign of humility, being able to be transparent. So basically you've nagged your husband into a corner. He's completely stripped naked of his manhood. His wife has told him that he's not good enough. So now he says, I give up. Now it is your job. Now you've taken it on yourself, and you're mad at him that you're doing it.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
I need help.
Yeah, you do, baby.
I created this. I fully admit it. I created this.
I love this. I love this. So, Tacey, is it? That's how you say your name?
Yes.
Tacey?
Yes.
Forgive me for saying Tracy earlier. So, Tacey, let me just break it down and make it plain. It's time to own your mistakes. And it's time to stop shifting the blame onto your husband, because you created this entire reality that you now are having to bear the brunt of it. So resentment does not help you make wise financial decisions. Being upset that it's now your responsibility to manage the money, whining about it, crying about it, having anxiety about it, blaming him will never grow the money, will never bring in more money, and will never help to guide you in making solid financial decisions. Can you see how worry, stress, anxiety, and blame can actually cause you to spend more money foolishly?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Plus, I've lost trust.
Yeah, and it totally ruins your sex life. Okay, and Valentine's Day is coming, and I really wouldn't mess with that. Okay, so I mean, it jacks up the intimate part of the life. It takes away all the joy. And in all reality, if you just come to a place of going, okay, I created this reality. I want you to say that with me, Tacey. I created this reality.
This reality.
And only I
can
fix it.
fix it.
So, would you like some simple steps?
Yes, please.
Number one, you need to go say sorry to your husband. Yeah. You need to ask him to forgive you for not being a supportive and encouraging wife when he was down. You need to ask him to forgive you for nagging him into a corner and emasculating him. Please forgive me. I didn't realize that all of my comments would have done this to you. You're a good man, so I want you to apologize, I want you to own it, and I want you to encourage him. And tell him that you're making a commitment, that you're going to speak encouragement over him on a daily basis, and that the two of you are going to be better moving forward. That's number one and number two. Number three, remember I said earlier that anxiety and worry and blame is never going to make you more money?
Right.
And that it would actually cause you to make really bad financial decisions?
Really bad.
Meaning you know this personally, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you don't know how to manage money, what must you learn?
In regards to our relationship with money?
No. If you don't know how to manage the money, what must you learn to do?
Have skills to understand what to do with it.
Yeah, so you must have to learn how to manage money. So if you don't know how to do something, it just means you have something to learn. That's all. It's really simple. You have to learn how. Okay? Next, if you don't have enough money, right, then what must you learn to do?
Create more.
Right. You are, man, you're good at this. You're really good at this. Okay, so you got to learn how to manage the money you already have. And if there's not enough of it, which here's what I do find, is that when people learn to manage money, they find that they had plenty of money. They just weren't managing it well. They had plenty of money. They just didn't know how to manage it. So, but if you still come to that conclusion, then you must learn how to make more money, right? Okay, so number one, we're going to take personal responsibility. I created this mess. I can fix it. I need to apologize to my husband. I need to tell him I'm going to encourage him. And I need to learn how to manage money. And I need to learn how to make more of it. Do you have a piece of paper and pen handy?
I can get one.
Okay, you should get one. Definitely. Because this is what you're going to do. You have a few steps that you're going to need to take. You're going to go to DaniJohnson.com. And there is a 10-day battle camp for your finances. It's a boot camp. I want you to call our office because they can get you started on a path immediately on how to start fixing and managing those finances. You can learn to do anything. You're going to kiss goodbye worry and anxiety. There's a couple things I want you to pick up. One is a book, First Steps to Wealth. If you pay the shipping to get the book to your house, you can get a copy of the book right now. Okay, you pay the shipping, it's $15. I will send it to you. There's 2 chapters in here concerning debt and finances. There's 2 chapters in here on how to grow money in what your current career is. So get your free copy. You pay the shipping, I'll pay for the book. Go to the website or call the office, 866-760-8255. Again, 866-760-8255. Let's start with that. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
This is the Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
My name's Derek, and this is my wife, Michelle, and we're the Holland Sheds. We live in Covina, California, about 45 minutes from here, and we're extremely honored to be able to share our story. And when we were approached about it, I was kind of thinking, well, where do I start? Where do we start? But I'm going to start a few years back before there was a Michelle and Derek. Actually, I was actually debt-free, and kind of going along pretty good. And then a funny thing happened. I got married, and I married into debt. And okay, we're going to do fine. We'll pay it off, and life will be good. But a funny thing happened was that didn't seem to happen. Yeah, and what as a result, it just kind of thinking it's going to happen, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and something always happens, and and the result is that debt doesn't get paid. So it starts becoming like an old friend, and then unfortunately the marriage failed, but I was able to meet Michelle, and we got married, and married into debt again. Only now it's a little bit bigger, but at least the house that I had, this was during the housing boom, so used some of the equity in the house to pay that debt off, and okay, we got a clean slate, let's go forward. And but in our early days in our marriage, we had some difficulty as far as being on the same page financially, and Michelle will share a little bit more about that. And I guess it's a good point for me to hand it over to her.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Like Derek said, honestly, you guys, the first 7 years of our marriage, when I came into our marriage, Derek he paid up my debt all. And I ran our debt up 3 different times in the first 7 years of our marriage, you guys. I would have never imagined being in that spot. Derek didn't trust me. And it finally got to a place where, my gosh, I can't keep doing this. I was pretty much told to come to this event by a good friend of mine, and it was the best thing she could have said to me because it's what I needed. I would have not have come had I not have had that charge and challenge that way. The moment I got here and we saw the war, I saw the war on debt, I said, this is it. This is our ticket. This is what's going to help us go to the next level. This is what's going to help us. You guys, we've since in 33 months, we have paid off over $159,000 worth of debt. We have money in savings. We have $300,000 in assets, income-producing assets. We continue to plug in. I was the first one to come, but immediately afterwards, I told my husband I couldn't wait. I called him. I told him about War on Debt. He immediately said, let's do it. We had some friends that hosted a War on Debt class there right after, and we went to it, and we found $502 worth of excess spending our first month, and we revisited our budget after that, and then we thought we were just broke, living paycheck to paycheck. We were overwhelmed. We felt hopeless. I never would have thought I would lose my husband's trust, and the techniques, the strategies that Dani Johnson teaches you guys helped us save our marriage, our finances, our communication. You guys, we started out with, my favorite product is spiritual equipping, and I know Darren has a favorite product.
We're on debt, and you think?
You guys, we kind of bought things one by one. However, you guys have a great opportunity outside that door, that table out there, where you can buy the whole DJ University curriculum, and you get almost over $1,000 off. So you have either option, but that's a great opportunity for you. Don't let anything stop you guys. There is hope, there is life, and I'm very grateful and honored to be here. So without further delay, you guys, help us welcome back America's favorite millionaire and our mentor and coach, Dani Johnson.
The way you look at things is about to change. It's the Dani Johnson Show.
Conflict is inevitable when priorities are not straight. Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show, and it's Money Monday, where we talk about money and your life. And priorities are really important when it comes to the conversation of money. So many couples end up fighting about money because money has become a higher priority than their relationship. And sometimes when one person's been appointed to manage the finances, that person sometimes can feel that tension building up inside of them. But focusing on the tension and being resentful is never going to help fix any financial problems. There's just skills that need to be learned. So we're talking today about, instead of fighting with your spouse about money, what are some other things that you can do to prevent some of those fights and to keep the marriage the higher priority over the money? We have Erin Corrett from New Hampshire joining us today. Erin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dani.
Hi. So what do you do? I mean, so have you ever had any of those fights in your marriage over money?
Oh, yes. It can definitely cause a lot of conflict. We have different priorities. I like to spend, and my husband likes to save, so there's definitely some friction there.
Wow. I love it. And look at how transparent you are. What do you like to spend on, girl?
Clothes and things for my kids, and I like nice food and things like that. I like to, take the family out to dinner and do things like that, which is not always great for our budget. So
Right. So how do you guys manage this? What do you do about it? He likes to save. Wait, let me ask you a question. So from your perspective, he likes to save communicates what to you?
He's planning. It's taken a long time for us to get to a point where we can talk comfortably about money without me being defensive or feeling controlled. But now I view it as he's trying to provide for our future, and he's saving for retirement, and he wants to have money put aside for the future. So instead of feeling like, oh, he's ruining all of my fun and taking away money that I could be spending on other things, I look at it as him caring for us.
Well, is he caring for you?
He is.
He is. Well, how does that make you feel about him?
That makes me love him.
Because he doesn't want you to be broke for the rest of your life.
He wants to be able to retire and spend time with me when our kids are grown. So it gives me something to look forward to.
Right. So how have you guys managed this?
It's been a long process, about 7 or 8 years, and just having budget meetings and talking about what money is going where, and really tracking our spending and making sure that our money is going where we want it to.
It sounds really boring. Is it boring to have those meetings?
Yes and no. It's good because it gets us on the same page and makes me think about what our long-term financial goals are and make sure that we're both working towards that, because if I don't have the goal in front of me and know that this is why we're, cutting the budget in certain areas, it makes it hard for me to stick to it.
Right.
So when we get on the same page, it makes me feel like we're a team, we're working together, and it helps me prioritize our marriage over, like you said, prioritize it over money. Yep.
So what got you guys to this place? Like how did you, did you all of a sudden one day have an epiphany that he was actually caring for you and not trying to trap you into a boring life? What happened? How did you cross over from, he's killing all my fun, he's such a controlling blank, you know what I mean? How did you stop thinking like that and then start seeing the truth?
A lot of open and honest communication. It's really hard for me because I have a lot of emotions attached to my spending, and he tends to see it more black and white, looks at the numbers and says, no, we can't afford that, or yes, we can afford that, where I tend to think in terms of emotions and how I will feel making that purchase or things like that. So being able to talk about it and recognize at the end of the conversation that we're both still on the same team, and even if one of us feels like we're losing, we're still okay with it because the other person has been able to explain their viewpoint and help us see it from their perspective.
Okay, but come on, help me out, honey. This sounds like all really nice and clinical. but I want to hear, come on, tell me about one of your fights.
It got really bad, I guess, about 8 years ago, and we fought really. I was hiding money. I had a credit card. And
how did you think you were going to pay for that credit card without him knowing?
I don't know. I was young and stupid. he found out about it. He was really unhappy. It was not a good situation. So from that point on, it was kind of, we have to get on the same page or this isn't going to, he basically said, if you ever do this again, we're done, because he felt violated and betrayed. And I understand that. So we had to be transparent and had to talk about it and work through it. And it probably took about 5 years of talking about spending and how we were going to be spending our money before I began to be more comfortable about it. It was always an uncomfortable conversation, and I always felt attacked almost because I would rather have more money, to do things with the family or to spend on clothing or things like that, and he'd rather spend it on retirement or save for the future. So it's still kind of touchy, and it's not, by no means is it a seamless process to talk about money, but at least we have it in its proper place, and it's not the end all be all anymore.
Right.
Like you said, it's a tool.
Yeah. And so you're saying that, before you kind of held up shopping as a higher priority than trust between you and your husband.
Right.
Yeah. Have you dealt with that issue of shopping?
Oh, yes. Had to rein it in. Yes.
And so what did you change?
For me, I'm very visual, so just being able to see, we have an app that we use to track our spending. So being able to see on like a bar graph how much I've spent and how much is left to spend for the month, and being able to talk with him at the end of the quarter and say we're on track or we're not on track, or we spent too much in this category, or things like that, really helps me to see it visually in front of me. So that I can, and then to think about what our goals are. Like if we're taking a vacation, obviously money's got to come from somewhere for that. So,
So then do you like shop less so you can go on a vacation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So now you're actually paying attention to where the money's going. And in paying attention to where it's going, now you can actually direct it, right? So you're directing where you want it to go versus it just leaking out with another blouse or some more shoes or another purse that Lord knows none of us need.
Right.
Or out to dinner again, when we look at how much we spent on that, did it really yield the value that we really wanted? I'd rather have a vacation than eat out 3 nights a week. Right?
Right. And have those memories with my family. Absolutely.
Yeah. Versus a quick, bad meal that you paid 5 times more money than you should have for. You know what I mean? So instead, creating memories. I'm really proud of you. I think it's really awesome that, first of all, good job being transparent. And I love that you said, I'm the spender, he's the saver, which is really awesome. And then you explained like how it felt. You know what I mean? And the fact is that your husband wasn't trying to control you. He wasn't trapping you. He wasn't trying to steal your fun. He was trying to ensure fun for the length of the marriage, versus having you guys be so strapped financially because of hidden credit cards or shopping habits that hurt financially, and more importantly, that destroys trust. So I'm really proud of you that you and him both were able to come to the table and honor the marriage first, and the finances were not the highest priority. And so awesome job being so diligent, and sounds like you got yourself a winner there, girlfriend. You got a good hubby. You do. Man, God bless you. God bless you. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. This is The Dani Johnson Show.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what poverty-stricken families are dealing with in Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic needs of food, clean water, and safe housing. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming Nicaragua. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Nicaragua. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider Membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success. Helping you become all you were meant to be. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Money is a tool. And today on the Dani Johnson Show, that's what we're talking about. How to use it to better the relationships, not destroy them, and how to use it with a purpose. That is also so very important. So just what you just heard with Erin, her husband had a purpose of being able to secure a better future for the two of them. Life is so fast, and before you know it, you're like 60-something and you're broke. And that sucks. That's 98% of the population that ends up dead or dead broke at the age of 65, depending on their family, friends, and federal government for their main source of income. I literally just this morning was talking with my father as we're having breakfast together that Social Security just took away 10% of his income. Wow, he's worked his entire life. He's paid into that fund, and they just decided to take 10% of his income away. Not an increase of 10%, but took 10% away. How ridiculous. Listen, you cannot end up sometime in your 70s worried about a few extra $100. You want to make sure that you take care of the future, and you want to make sure you budget for fun for now. It doesn't mean it's all fun now and you pay really bad for it later, or that you have no fun now and you get to have a great future. No, there's got to be balance to the entire plan. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed what we talked about today. If today was helpful at all to you, please tell us, write us, but more importantly, freely you came upon this information, freely share this information. And if you want more information like this, the website, DaniJohnson.com, has a ton of great, helpful information to improve your finances. In fact, get a hold of War on Debt. War on Debt is a system that is so simple, and it's even fun. It's actually fun. I've watched it happen with my clients where they just get so excited to be knocking out this debt because they've been held underwater for so long, feeling like failures. Their confidence is gone, totally embarrassed and ashamed by carrying all the debt that they've been carrying, and that debt had caused too many fights. They learned to declare war on debt. And as they did that, just like the Robertis who paid off $350,000 worth of debt in 15 months and became completely debt-free. They fought nonstop. They ain't fighting like that anymore, and they're not fighting over that topic anymore. They now have $250,000 in debt. $250,000 in the bank as well. They're now creating wealth, and they're still young. You have that opportunity too. Get your hands on War on Debt right now. And by the way, check out First Steps to Success, Dallas, Texas, February 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Hey, it's time to be there. It's time to start winning. It's time to get off the starting block, and it's time to get in the game. Start playing 2018 to win by being at First Steps to Success 3 solid days. You and I having the chance to work together on your finances, your career, and your relationships at home and at work. Come on, man. This is your year to crush it. This is your year to step up and be the example for everybody else. This is your year to cause other people's head spinning when they see how much success it is that you're having, and they're like, how did you do this? All the while not sacrificing your family, your fun, or your friends. But you're going to learn how to do it succeeding with everybody. This is Dani Johnson. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
If this episode was an encouragement to you, go to DaniJohnson.com and share it with your friends now. You never know who else needs to hear it. This has been the Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.